Hey guys, it's me, Travis of PlayerProps.ai. Right before I recorded, you guys know I have this massive water bottle. As you can see, the water bottle took a little drip on my shirt, and instead of going downstairs and changing my shirt, I said, screw it, on with the show. If you guys paid attention to everything we said on Monday's episode, you won a lot more money than what you started with. We actually had two things from yesterday's episode, referring to Monday. I said if Trey Jones, who was it? It was Colin Sexton. If Colin Sexton was ruled out, Trey Jones over 14.5 made sense, and he was ruled out, and he hit. And then the one we finished on, regardless of injuries, was LeBron James over 4.5 rebounds. That also hit. This one is focusing on where we are finally at, ladies and gentlemen. It's March Madness time, baby. There are games on Tuesday and Wednesday, play-in games and also NIT games as well. We're focusing on the round of 64, the first main round, the first day of college basketball chaos. If you don't remember what I was saying from the previous episodes, I am traveling to Philadelphia for the first games, the last games of the first round. So I'm going up for my school, UCF, versing UCLA, and then I'm also going to be watching the UConn-Furman game, and then fingers and toes crossed, we pull out that victory as a 10 seed over a 7 seed, then I'll be staying in Philly for the Sunday matchup, which probably is going to be UConn, because I have actually attended a game for March Madness that Furman had a crazy upset. I think this was like 5 years ago or something like that, and it was. I don't think that's going to happen this year for UConn. So if UCF's able to, I guess technically upset because they're, I think, a 5-point or 6.5 underdog, then we'll be staying for another couple days in the Philly area. That being said, we're focusing specifically on Thursday games, and we're not focusing on player props. I may look at it, but probably not, because there's so many states that have college props banned. And if your question is, Travis, can you please enlighten me? Why are college props banned in most states across the continental U.S.? And here's your answer: because your friends are idiots. The people you have that you have betting group text with, and they share a screenshot that they sent a direct message to an 18-year-old because he only scored 21 points instead of 22, and they say death threats or, hey, I'm coming after you, or anything like that, and they screenshot it and they send it in your group text, and then some other people in the group text you're in with your friends maybe like, LOL, lols, that's so funny, you're so clever of DMing an 18-year-old because you didn't score enough points for you. Most of the U.S. regulated system, that is of the state-by-state sports betting regulation, they see these things, they see how dumb your friends are, and they're wanting to focus on protecting the 18 and 19-year-olds that your friends are threatening. So they ban them completely. There are very many states where you can legally bet on pretty much anything except for college player props because your friends are psychopaths. So congratulations, your friends suck. Now, that being said, that's kind of why if I focused on like a college player prop for March Madness here, we would run into a situation where very few people could actually play it because they're in states, or maybe whatever apps are available in their state doesn't even do the college prop stuff. So we're going to focus on the team things here. I don't know, prior to hitting this record button, what exactly we're going to wind up on, or what style of something we're going to wind up on. And that's usually what I always do when I hit the record button. We just kind of go through, these are how to use the tools. Let's see if we can find anything that makes sense. So Thursday's date is March 19th. You have Friday's games on the 20th. Today I'm recording this on the 17th. These are the first 2 days of playing games and also the first 2 days of NIT. Typically with NIT, I think it's still the same, where they get to play, the higher seed gets to play in the home arena as long as there's no like scheduling conflicts. And so that's why the NIT essentially starts 2 days after Selection Sunday, because they don't have to like clear space or figure anything out. It's just, hey, there's a game 2 days from now and you're on your court. This team's coming over to play you. You're the higher seed, blah, blah, blah. But anywho, enough talking about the NIT. We're focused on the main March Madness bracket. Some little trivia for you. Did you know that when college basketball tournaments started, NIT was the main tournament? And then this round of 64 kind of came and took over. Actually, technically, well, round of 64, but field of 68 kind of took over the predominancy. People are like, ooh, this one's bigger. This one makes more sense. I like this one. More teams can get in. But yeah, NIT was actually the original college basketball tournament. Little trivia for you here on Tuesday. Trivia Tuesday. The most interesting thing here out of these first round games is that there's only one, and that's on FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM barely. BetRivers has the different ones, but let's just focus on like FanDuel for now. There's only one on FanDuel and DraftKings that has a positive difference. So if you're new to moneylines, which even if you're not in legal states, if you go to wannaparlay.online, you can actually do college basketball moneylines. So if you're in like California, Texas, or a lot of the other states that don't have legalized betting that allow you to do things like DraftKings and FanDuel, the website you want to go to is wannaparlay.online. Create an account there. It's in the same concept, on the same legal side of things as Prize Picks, but they have a way for you to do team stuff as well. So if you want to do college basketball team stuff and you're not in a legalized betting state, wannaparlay.online. But when you create your account, make sure you use promo code PlayerProps. That's the way you get the $250 deposit match. So a free $250 is nothing to want to pass up on. Anywho, so how this works in a nutshell, for those who've never used this tool's been around for a while, but if you've only been using the player prop side of things, it simply shows you what the sports books are telling us. So FanDuel is saying that right here, that St. Mary's has a 61.54% implied chance. How do we know the sports books are saying that? Because they give St. Mary's a minus 160 money line. That money line that you see for anything in the world that ever has a minus 160 line or odds with it, that always will mean it's a 61.54% chance. So it's just a math equation. You take this number, the math equation turns it into this number. What RAI is saying is that St. Mary's should actually have a 63% projected chance to win. And so this tool simply highlights when is the AI projection higher than the implied chance, and that's where you get the green difference. Whenever the AI is higher, you get a green difference here. So what I'm doing real quick, I'm pulling up the bracket here on my phone, so we have to like pull 1,000 things up on the screen at the same time. But yeah, so St. Mary's is a 7 seed, Texas A&M is a 10 seed. If you haven't watched yet, do not fill a bracket out until you watch our March Madness bracket selection show. Ben and I go through every possible matchup and tell you who is most likely to advance based on all the stuff we look at, including there's a lot of numbers here. So you may not be a numbers fan, but this is very important to March Madness. So the website is called kenpom.com. KENPOM.com. This right here, you just go to it and it'll just show you this. This is anybody that does anything with March Madness betting or bracket building, and they know what they're doing, they're using this site. And it shows you like the overall ranking based on offensive rating, defensive rating, the win-loss the team has on the season. You see there's kind of like a salmon color with these teams, and then down here with Auburn you have gray. So this still shows you all the teams in Division 1, but it'll highlight the salmon pinky color if that team actually made it to the main bracket. So Auburn was the best team based on this rating. They're 38th overall in the country. The best team that did not make the bracket because a 17-16 record sucks. So sucks to suck, Auburn. Stop complaining. You should have won more games. But yeah, so this game here is a 7 St. Mary's and a 10 Texas A&M. So this was something I highlighted on these bracket selection show. But St. Mary's here, they're the 24th. This number here they're the 24th best team in the country based on Ken Pom ratings. You can see these little baby numbers right next to 120.3 and this 19 here. So this means they have the 43rd best offensive rating, and they have the 19th best defensive rating. So there's only 18 teams that has a better defensive rating than St. Mary's. We then look for their opponents. We have to scroll all the way down here to the 39. So St. Mary's 24, Texas A&M 39. Their offense is 49, and their defense is the 41 rating. So in other words, they're below the top 40 in offense and defense. So when I'm looking at something, even though the AI here is telling me that St. Mary's minus 160 is a good bet because it favors them slightly, I know 1.46 isn't a huge difference, but then I'm going to come over here, I'm going to see, there's actually a pretty decent difference, because even though they're both around the 40 number for best offense, St. Mary's destroys them in defensive rating, 19 compared to Texas A&M's 41. So their offense is better as well. They have the 43rd offense. Texas A&M pretty close to the 49th best offense. But the thing that separates St. Mary's is their defense is better, 19th best based on Ken Pom's defensive rating. So for the sake of the show, this is something we want to consider. So let's go ahead and click this little favorite button here and save it for later. That's what the star is. I don't know if I've cleared this or not. Oh, this was yesterday, LeBron James. So let's get rid of that. So now we have St. Mary's minus 160, right? There's a rule that we have with the money line predictor. It is never, ever, ever bet on a money line when the difference is red. That means the team is overfavored, overvalued, overprojected. We're not by us anyway. For this example, we're saying that North Carolina has a 57% chance of winning. The books are giving you odds based on a 58% chance of winning. So the sports books are over-favoring that team. So we just don't touch it. But of all the games on Thursday, this is the only one. So the other thing I want to look at for Thursday is we're going to look at spreads. The rule of thumb, first rule of thumb, never bet on a money line of a team with a red negative difference. The second rule of thumb is that if a team has a red negative difference, there's a 99% chance that the AI favors the spread of the opponents. It's not always a guarantee, but it's usually how it works. So we're going to click the spread here real quick. And so we're going to see, what does the AI like with the spreads? So typically, I always recommend staying away from like monster spreads, like 28.5. Duke with the number one overall ranked team, the seed of this whole thing. It says the AI gives them a 56% chance for their opponents to cover 28.5. But I don't like anything that's like crazier than maybe 15 for March Madness or for college basketball in general. Or for basketball in general. I don't even think I would do anything crazier than a plus 15, because when teams suck enough to have a 28.5 line for the people that are versing them, I'm not saying that the opponents always cover their line, which is why AI favors this. It's just it can get too messy too quick. And we don't like messy games. We like games that are close where the AI has a decent side on one of them. So let me give you an example real quick. St. Mary's here. We already told you the AI likes their money line a little bit more than the sports books do, so that's why St. Mary's minus 2.5 is projected. On the show as well, we highlighted this game, Ben and I, on the bracket selection show. So Nebraska has been in a power conference for a very long time. In the entire history of this bracket existing, Nebraska has never, ever, ever won a March Madness game in terms of winning a game in this tournament. Never in their time have they won a game in this tournament. And then Ben did like Troy a little bit, especially at the plus 13.5. I want to try to find something that's even closer to that. So this whole tool here, this sorts it based on the strength of the projection. So Duke's up top because AI likes their opponents to cover the spread 56%. And as you get down, it gets closer to 50, 52, 51, 0. So even though there's a tighter spread here, it's only a 51.88% chance. So there's not really anything on the spread side that I'm completely in love with. You can consider Troy here, but I don't know. I'm not in love with it. I'm just not in love with it. Yeah, and then the percentages here. I typically don't look at anything that has a spread projected side that's lower than maybe 53 is like the bare minimum. So you don't really want to do this because there's not really, like, it's just a coin flip. You're not really getting an edge either way. So let's look at something else, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at totals. Is there any totals that we like? This, again, is something that is sorted. It's sorted by the difference between what the FanDuel Sportsbook is giving us, which is 153.5, and what the AI is saying, which is 151.67. It looks like there's nobody. Okay, I was gonna say there's nobody that has an over projection, but we go down here in the first, the biggest difference for an over projection is Idaho and Houston. So let's look at this top one here. A 1.84 difference. Nothing amazing. But let's focus on some points we see here. VCU. So this record here is not their season record. This is how many times a game that included the VCU men's basketball team hit the spread line. So out of these 31 games, only 13 times has it hit the spread line. 18 times it hasn't. But this L5 here, L5, they have not hit the total line in the last 5 games they've played. We go over to North Carolina. They also have a losing record on games that have involved North Carolina men's basketball team. Out of 31 games, they have only hit the total line given by the sports books 14 times, and 17 times it's gone under. They're not 0 for 5 in the last 5. The most recent one is on the far right, so their last game they did go over. 2 games before that they went under, and so forth and so on. So this record has nothing to do with the AI. This is just what the team has actually done based on the line that the sportsbooks gave them. So what I want to do now is let's see if there's anything sexy with the defensive rating for VCU or UNC when we go to the Ken Pom ratings here. So North Carolina, let's find North Carolina first. There's so many, this font is so small. VCU's down here. So we go to VCU. Their offensive rating's 46. They're top 50 offensively, and then their defensive rating is 60. So top 60. I was hoping to see something higher on that, but let's go up here to North Carolina. They're 29th best. They're 32 offense, 37 defense. So neither of these teams are like one of the most elite defensive teams in the country. They're not. But there's a lot worse teams. Like, let's do an example. Like Texas, which is doing a play-in game. They're in the bracket with an 18-14 record, and they have out of all of the teams, 112th best defense. 3 digits. Horrendous. Horrible. You go up here to Duke. Duke doesn't even have the best defense. The best defense is actually Michigan. And then Duke's got the 4th best offense, 2nd best defense. All those things, plus a bunch of other stuff, play into why they're rated this high. So this is interesting that both these teams have a losing record. This team's 0 for 5 in the last 5. We also see this as well. Gonzaga has not hit their line in the last 5 games, and they're 10-22 out of 32 games. They've only hit the line 10 times. Kennesaw, 14-16, 0 for 2 in their last games, last 2 games played. The difference between these two are basically the same. I think the biggest difference between this game and this game is the spread. The spread for Gonzaga beating Kennesaw is much higher than UNC and VCU, and I think even in the bracket show we did, I think we even were talking about VCU beating UNC. This is just not the best. This is not the UNC team that they've had of years past. So now, what I want to do is I want to see, is there higher? Oh, why? So I just switched to DraftKings. Let me check the other books real quick. 245. Okay. So DraftKings has a 2.45 difference on the under. The line for this game is a monstrous 165.5, and I was gonna say there can't be that many games that have a higher total. That's pretty high. 165.5 for college basketball. Projection is 2.45 points lower. Both teams have a losing record at hitting the total. Both teams have not hit the total in the last 2 games. USF has not hit the last 3 games. Let's see if we can find anything that's eye-opening on the Ken Pom ratings for USF or Louisville. Louisville's the 19th best team in the country based on Ken Pom ratings. They have the 19th best offense, which is pretty high, but they also have the 25th best defense, a top 25 defense. And then we have to scroll. Where is USF? The horrible garbage school of USF. South Florida. Here we go. So 61st best offense, 40th best defense. So there's nothing here to write home about. Essentially, the only reason they went 25-8 because they're in a garbage conference, because they're a garbage team and a garbage school. That's neither here nor there. There's nothing great here. The thing that is interesting is the defensive rating for Louisville. 25th best. But their offense is also 19th best. What is this spread right now? The spread is Louisville minus 5.5. I think when we were looking at... What is the spread for Gonzaga? So I'm looking at my phone because I don't want to click around a majillion times. Gonzaga's favored by 20.5. Man, it's a big whooping. But then, like, Kennesaw's not a team that they would have versed in their conference. Hold on, I want to... Before I put my foot in my mouth, let me see here. Hey, look, the wet spot's the wet spot's almost gone. How long have we been recording this? Long enough for the wet spot to go bye-bye. So they versed Santa Clara, which is in the final, which Santa Clara is in the bracket. They versed St. Mary's a couple games ago. So, I mean, they're versing some good teams, some bad teams. So what is this? What is this total here? 154. I'm gonna peep Kennesaw State's scoring real quick. So their only reason they're here because they beat Louisiana Tech in the final and the CUSA championship. If both teams, so I'm trying to get an idea of like what the score is. Do we have team total for this? Perfect. For this one, it has the AI has Louisville getting 84 and USF getting 79. 84 plus 79 is 163, and 163 is less than their total, which was 165, I believe, 165.5. 1.5. I'm quickly scrolling to see if anybody has a difference higher than 1.5. Doesn't look like it. Nope. Okay. So, the game we were talking about was the Gonzaga game, which is here. So the AI says that Kennesaw is going to score 66 points and Gonzaga is going to score 86 points. And then that combined is 152, and the total was what, 155 for the game? Oh, the total is 154.5, yeah. So what we have to think now is, do we want to go with this game, with Louisville having a pretty decent defense? Top 25, I believe we said, right? Defense. Top 25 defense. Gonzaga does not have a top... Where's the Zags? Oh. Actually, we didn't even look at the Ken Pom for the Gonzaga Kennesaw State. Gonzaga has the 9th best defense. There's only 8 teams in the entire country that has better defense than Gonzaga, and they're versing a team they're favored to win by 20 points. I think even though this difference is higher, I really like the fact that Gonzaga's absolute trash on covering their games that involve Gonzaga hitting the over total, which is that's why they have a 10-22 and a L5 or 0-5 last 5 games. Kennesaw also 1 for 4 trash rating here. So these two things I think is what we're looking at for Thursday's games, and we're looking at them individually. So we have St. Mary's money line, and then we have the Gonzaga Kennesaw under 154.5. But because we're here, let me see if a sportsbook has a higher. Actually, let me look at that for both of these teams. So we're gonna go back to The 19th. Okay, so the first thing we're looking at is money line. The money line we were looking at was St. Mary's. Yeah. So if we're going to St. Mary's, the most money you can make is by betting this on Hard Rock or Bet Rivers because it's minus 150. And then for the spread, no, game total, Zags, where's the Zags at? Right here. Looks like everybody has 154.5 as a total, and at FanDuel, BetMGM, pretty much every sportsbook pays you the same, except DraftKings hates you a little bit more, so if you go under, it's minus 112. So the only other thing I want to look at is I want to look at one more time of the team total for Gonzaga. Yeah, I don't like this. So those are the two things for the show. Are we looking at player props? No, because very few of you have the opportunity to do player props. And because there's now things like moneylines.online, even if you're not in a sports betting state, you have the ability to do team stuff, which you can plug both those in on moneylines.online. Yeah, I think that's where we're going to be finishing here. And tomorrow's show, we're going to focus on Friday's games. And then Thursday and Friday, we're going to be watching college basketball all day long in our jammies. I'll actually be flying Thursday night to Philly for the Friday games. Pretty excited. Very excited for this stuff. Any questions whatsoever about anything March Madness, college basketball, PlayerProps.ai, how not to light all your money on fire, you're in the right spot. Just simply get into the Discord, download this app on your phone, start asking questions. The only way you can fail in my system that I've created for you is by not doing the free stuff and not asking questions. 100% of the 97,400 members. This is a live updated number we've added. This is how many people have created an account on PlayerProps.ai. Out of the 97,400 people who've created an account on PlayerProps.ai, 100% of them that has followed all 7 of our steps to success. There's a channel in Discord. It's part of the free Discord channels you have access to by simply getting in there. It says, these are the 7 steps to success. You follow these 7 steps to success, you will have success in reducing your avoidable losses. The easiest way to win more, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a spoiler alert. It's by reducing your losses. We know why you're losing more bets than you should be losing, and we help teach you how to stop shooting yourself in the foot. If you want to be part of the 97,400 plus people who are tired of shooting themselves in the foot, who decided to stop losing, this is the place for you. You just have to do the bare minimum. Get the app, subscribe to this channel, get in the Discord, start asking questions, start learning, start being a better version of yourself. We'll see you guys in the Discord. Good luck.